Hello, I'm Abby.
And I'm Michael.
Today we're going to do a joint review of Tress of the Emerald Sea. This is his first ever Brandon Sanderson book, so we will see if this is what gets him on the Cosmere train.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. First off, before we get into the spoilers, a brief summary of the book. Tress of the Emerald Sea is a kind of cozy fantasy, in a sense, pirate fantasy almost, except the sea is not made of water, it's made of spores. These spores are highly dangerous. If they even touch a drop of water, these emerald spores will sprout into vines and plants. And so if you ingest one, you can imagine the consequences of that.
Yeah, it goes into a few details about that, and it seems quite gruesome.
Yes. However, this world is very, very interesting as each sea is made of a different color spore, which do different things. So the magic system was wonderful, but the plot and the main character was just great. I did hear that this was actually based off of Princess Bride a little bit. He took inspiration from it. I have not fact-checked that, but I did have a friend tell me, and as I listened to it, I definitely picked up a little bit of that. It follows a young girl, Tress, who lives on this barren island, and she has fallen in love with the mayor's son. However, the mayor is like, nope, you are not royalty, you're not gonna marry him. So he forces his son to go and travel the seas and meet different princesses. But the son is like, nope, I am dead set on this girl, so I'm gonna be as uninteresting as possible.
And he does that.
When the Duke comes back, she's expecting to see his son. However, he announces his heir, and a man steps out, and it's not the son at all. Charlie is his name.
Yep.
So Tress knows that Charlie is out somewhere. Not going to spoil too much, but basically Tress has to go and find Charlie and save him. And so this very uninteresting girl who doesn't like adventure at all is now forced to join pirates as she travels across these different spore seas in search of her love, Charlie. That's basically the book, without any spoilers. Content warnings, there were not really anything. I think maybe like brief minor language, maybe like a few instances of just minor language.
But overall, it's a very clean book, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, not too bad. So we will be getting into spoilers now, so if you've not read the book and you don't want to be spoiled, then just click away. And now...
Or pause and come back.
Yes, come back and watch this video after you've read it. Good idea. You've been warned. We are going to go into spoilers. All right, Michael, first question. We're going to talk about the plot. So what are your overall thoughts of the plot?
My overall thoughts were, honestly, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was very interesting on how they had her step out of her comfort zone and actually have that kind of hero's journey call to action. I thought it was very well done and executed on how they went about that, because not only throughout the plot was she the main star of the show, but it never once felt like she was leading it all on her own. It was like, here's difficulty after difficulty, and as you get to know the characters in the story, like the captain of the ship that she's on is a terrible human being, and she has to deal and overcome these challenges with her. And I thought it was fantastically done.
Overall thoughts, I also really did appreciate how the main character didn't really want to be a hero. She didn't really have many qualities that made her a hero, besides just being super determined because she was so in love with Charlie. So if you could pick any part of the book, what would you say your favorite was?
I think that's hard. I think one of my favorite parts was her messing with the spores and like seeing what each one does and like experimenting with them and like learning how to actually use them properly. I thought that was a pretty good part. I also really liked with the dragon.
Yeah.
I thought that was
funny scene.
I thought that was a really funny scene.
Yeah. My favorite part was probably when she realized that the rat all along, Huck, or Hank, no, it's Huck, yeah,
Huck.
Was literally Charlie. Honey, would you love me if I was a rat?
I guess I would.
He guesses. Honey, this is going to be your last video. So what did you think of the overall pacing?
I didn't think that like anything ran on for too long or anything was too short. I thought it was just right. There was a few moments where I was like, oh, maybe things should like head into a new direction or something like that. But then they would, and it was like it didn't feel like it was dragging on by any means.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same. I felt like, I mean, definitely a few parts that felt, I think when she was on the boat with the pirates, that's when I feel like it started to drag a little bit. I guess I would have wanted more like world exploration. So.
Or maybe even just other characters to like bounce off of.
I don't know. I mean, the crew was very interesting. They all had different personalities. They all had their different things. So I wouldn't even say, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know what else they would do. Once they got to the Midnight Sea, I thought that was interesting. And when they, the scene with the dragon, the Crimson Sea, that was interesting too. So, I mean, like, I don't know. I guess it didn't drag too much. Did the conflict and resolutions feel natural?
Yeah, I would say a lot of them did feel natural. There was a few that I felt was like a little like maybe cheesy, kind of. They're like, it kind of just subverted my expectations in like a funny way. And I wasn't exactly like ready for that.
I liked it though.
It was good.
It fit very well with the kind of book that it was.
That's true.
In every Sanderson book, at the very end, there's something called the Sanderlanche Avalanche. It's the Sanderson Avalanche. Everybody calls it the Sanderlanche. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It is basically what they call the climax, where he just has reveal after reveal and plot twist, and there's just like boom, boom, boom. Everything's just one after the other. The book's kind of like going along, and then boom, like the avalanche thing.
Yeah, I definitely felt that.
Yeah, I feel like this book, the Sanderlanche in this book, was not as crazy as some of the other ones, like Mistborn.
I don't know any of the other ones, but I still thought it was pretty impactful. I mean, you found out that Huck was Charlie all along.
Yeah.
And then you find out that Boyd was... Hoyd, I'm sorry.
Boyd.
It's close enough. Hoyd was actually... had powers and was actually able to defeat the villain. And so it was like them kind of working that all out, and then also like each one of them having their own secrets to disclose. I kind of felt like it was a pretty good avalanche of a plot twist.
Yeah. Well, once you listen to Mistborn, we did place a hold on that with our library, so that will probably be soon. You will experience a bigger avalanche of events towards the end there. It's wild. It's insane. This one, don't hate me. I fell asleep. When we were listening to it. You suspected I did. I told you I didn't, but I did.
I knew you did.
So I only understood the ending when you started explaining it. Because after the book ended, I like woke up and I got the end after the big fight. But I do not remember the big fight at all.
I was like, oh, what'd you think? And she was like, yeah, it was good. And I was like...
I got to the part where Charlie was revealed to be a rat and then calmed down.
Yeah. Which is unbelievable.
I was tired.
You were tired? It was a good book.
It was a good book. Moving on to characters. Who was your favorite character?
Hoyd was funny. I liked Hoyd being crazy and kooky. But I think my favorite was... I really liked Huck.
Huck meaning Charlie specifically as a rat?
No, just Charlie and Huck. Both of them together. Because they're one person. They're one person.
Charlie was definitely a very fun character. Hoyd was also a hilarious narrator. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Several times we just like burst out laughing at some of the stuff he would say. Oh, it's so good. They did
the sensible thing and died.
Yeah, the tree. I mean, despite all that though, I still think Tress might be my favorite. Just because I really liked how they had this, female main character. And like we're so used to, especially in like, romantasy or fantasy in general, if there's a female main character, we're so used to she's this like, bad butt lady with a sword and she can fight anybody even though she's had like a week of training, like all the stuff. You've read it before. And we're so used to seeing like that being a strong female character. But I really liked how Brandon Sanderson made Tress obsessed with teacups. Like, she loves teacups.
Yep.
She's just so very girly. She's also so polite. Like, even in one scene, I don't remember exactly what was happening, but there was some fight or something, and she was just being like so polite about everything. Like, oh, if it's not a bother, could you please like move so I can like just all this stuff. And I'm just like,
she was so polite to the point of a fault where she's like, oh, I'm sorry, it's such an inconvenience, even though it's like asking
it's
for
like a
like
life or death thing.
Yeah.
It was just like funny seeing her little quirks and how they like still stay true to her character even as she grows, because she does have a very interesting growth journey.
She does.
Where towards the end, like, she even says herself that she's changed. Like, once she finds Charlie, like, she's changed. Like, she does like her crew. She likes being captain of the crew. Like,
yeah.
But then you still get her personality and all her little quirks, and she's still Tress. Like, she's still the same character. She's just grown.
moved on
Yes.
from from being content with absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
To then being like, actually, I enjoy and like doing other things besides collecting teacups.
Well, she still does collect them.
No, that's true. But even at the end, when she was saying, the teacups don't hold the same value as they used to.
Yeah. She's like she's found her sense of adventure.
Yeah.
Because before, she never even wanted to leave her island. She was
Yeah.
fine just living there. Like, but yeah, she found her sense of adventure. She wanted to explore. Yeah, especially with the spores. It was very interesting with the spores, how you like just see her develop and like, oh, she finds something that she's good at. She like actually enjoys learning about these spores and how to use them. Like, I thought that was a very interesting touch.
I thought it was too, because it was like, it wasn't it was like, oh, this doesn't require a genius. It's just because no one wants to work with spores.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And it's like, yeah, and everyone's too afraid, they're too afraid to actually, like, even want to research or even want to look into anything like that, because why would they? They could die.
Yeah.
So I thought they did a great job with that, and I thought her being like, oh, this is interesting. Let me look more into it.
Yeah, she, like, wasn't afraid. I mean, she had a healthy fear.
Yeah,
but she wasn't so afraid that she wouldn't, like, touch him at all. What did you think? Oh, well, we already talked. What did you think of the main character? We both discussed what we already think. Yeah. Great main character. Loved her. Mm-hmm. Also, just her awkwardness with Charlie was so endearing.
That was so. It was so
cute. when she holds his hand, she's like, huh, hands are warm. It was so awkward. And then, like, her laugh, like it said, her laugh is like a sea lion or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, Tress, I love you. Sea lion laughing. It was just so funny. Like, their relationship was just so cute.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the supporting characters and the villain?
I thought the supporting characters were really good. I liked the crew. Like I said, my favorite character was Huck, so like he was right there alongside Tress the entire time.
Yeah.
And then Hoyd was a great character. I felt like just every single scene that he was in, he was causing chaos of some kind. And I thought the crew members were great. The villain, I liked the villain. Part of me wanted more. Like, there was...
Which villain?
Captain Crow was a good villain. I felt like she was definitely very interesting, because she was like, oh no, I'm doing this all from myself because I'm literally like cursed.
She's gonna die if she doesn't.
She's like, I'm gonna die and I need to do this immediately. And so she's trying to find the dragon. And so she forces the crew to be murderers so that they will want to sail with her. Mm-hmm. To go see the Crimson Sea, to see the dragon. And it's just crazy that she was doing all that stuff, and then the way that it ended was very interesting with them, her and Tress talking to the dragon, and then Tress trying to persuade the dragon to take the captain instead.
I loved that scene. That was like such a fun little twist.
Scene. Yeah.
Like it's like, oh no, like she's here, she's with the dragon, like she's gonna be lost forever. And then Tress is like, wait a minute. You are the one that's gonna be the offering, and the dragon's like, "All right, I'll listen." And then the captain's like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, I thought it was great.
It was just like so like simple too. It was just like,
and so not funny. Only that, but then it also like kind of helps the captain because little did she know that even if she did get cured by the dragon, it would only be temporary. It was a temporary fix. So the only way that she could actually live is if she stayed with the dragon, which is exactly what ends up happening. So she gets to live, and she doesn't end up dying from the spore thing inside of her.
Yeah.
And Tress gets what she wants too.
What about the sorceress?
I thought the sorceress was a little bit of a letdown.
Same.
Just because like they did all these things just to get there. And she's there, and you're like, oh, it's, something's going to happen, something crazy. Like, they're going to fight her, and it's going to be, this battle or whatever. Like, it could have been anything. It just was like, oh, they walk in, they have a conversation, and you're like, oh okay, we're diplomacy. Oh, that's an interesting choice. And then the sorceress just tries to trick her, and Charlie, the rat, reveals himself, but then he can't actually turn back into a human because she didn't get cursed by the sorcerer. And so I just thought it was a bit weird because then, like, when they actually did have, like, the final fight, both, like, they were captured, and then the crew shows up and is, like, fighting the robots, and, like, they end up, like, using Tress's spore technology to be able to trap the robots. And so I thought that was cool. And, like, I thought that whole thing was neat about the actual crew, like, going in and taking out the robots and storming the front gate. I thought that was really cool. It just was, like, less cool when all of a sudden they show up and then they go inside and she's there with Tress and Huck, and they're both just kind of like, hopefully we can get out of this. And the way they defeat him is just by Hoyd remembering and breaking his curse now that he's inside of the fortress. And it was like, okay, I liked that Hoyd had that kind of like supernatural magical power and stuff like that. I thought it was cool. It was a steamroll as soon as it happened. It was she all of a sudden it goes to curse Tress, and he just blocks it with a wave of his hand. And then she's all like, what? How dare you? Blah, blah, blah. Like, classic, like, villain being like, you stopped my plan. And it's like, really? And then everyone just points their weapons at her, and she's like, oh, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, well, we need her to break the curse. And it's like, oh, and then she says she can't break the curse. And it's like, okay, what's going on there?
And then Huck still turned back to human.
Yeah, Huck ends up turning back from the human because Hoyd uses his magical abilities to, like, change the...
That's how. See, I didn't pay attention to that part either.
The villain didn't even, like, it wasn't...
She was just kind of there.
She was just there.
Yeah, that's the one thing I didn't like about it, because Sanderson has made some very, very good villains. Especially in Mistborn, the Lord Ruler.
Okay. I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah. It's so funny because we actually have the Mistborn, like, deck building board game. So he knows a little bit about Mistborn and the magic system and characters. just from the game, but he doesn't know any context. He doesn't know anything about the story. So he already knows the Lord Ruler because it's a co-op. So we're trying to like work together to defeat the Lord Ruler, and he's so impossible to beat. We've not done it yet.
Difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Lord Ruler. But once you read the book, you're gonna be like, yeah.
I mean, makes sense.
He's a good villain. Yeah, I imagined him super old the whole time though. He's apparently really young, and I didn't know that till I looked at the card game, and the card on there, he's like really young, and I'm like, what? He's an old man, but like he's also immortal, so I should have known that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, writing style, real quick. We're gonna touch on that. What did you think about the prose?
I thought, prose wise, I thought it was really fun. It was fun. It was, it was a good laughable read. Like, I love the style. It was just free flowing. It was very much like
very sarcastic.
Yeah.
Which was so funny.
It didn't feel serious at all.
With like puns too, just like plays on words and all that.
One of the things that we were listening to the book and we both got a huge, massive chuckle out of it because it's describing the island that she's living on, the rock. And it talks about how the Duke had brought in trees and planted them. And then the narrator goes, but they did the sensible thing and died. Yeah. And we both heard that and just busted out laughing because we were like, that is such a good way, like, to even just describe that.
Yeah. No, it was just, and I think listening to the audiobook was nice too because, like, they just, like, throw in the little, like, one-liners and then just keep moving on. So then we just listen, we're like, oh, and, like, it keeps going. It's just, I don't know, like, delivery was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really like the writing style. I mean, because it's narrated by Hoyd.
Yeah, so I thought that was a really good take. Because then, like, even when Hoyd was doing crazy things, the narrator was kind of like, yeah, I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Or just funny. Making fun of himself. And it was, like, it was very comedic because like there was times where he was like, of course I was doing the sensible thing, wearing socks with sandals.
Yeah.
Because that was the fashion trend. And it's like, it's just funny, and he's very sarcastic, very much a troublemaker at his heart. And so I thought it was a good interesting narration.
Yeah, and again, like the character voice for him just flows into every aspect of the book, and I really admired how Brandon Sanderson kept it so consistent. Like, I aspire to reach that point of writing one day where I can just like be so consistently funny. Like, hello? But yeah, first I gotta be funny, so we'll see.
All right.
Ha 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 ha.
Nah. All right, what's next?
We're going to talk about the emotional impact of this story. First of all, how did you feel when the book ended?
Honestly, I was pretty excited because it was like, I thought it was a good book, and it was a really enjoyable read. A part of me was like just in shock by the plot twist with Hoyd and him being Charlie, and I was like,
Hoyd was not Charlie.
Or not Hoyd.
Wow,
Huck.
That's a plot twist.
Huck being Charlie.
I must have fallen asleep for that one for sure.
But with Huck being Charlie, I thought I was just kind of in shock, and I was like, what? No way! This whole time he's been with her, because there was like a lot of things where like it seemed like Huck was either with her or against her, and then he like lied to her about being a family full of rats, and like was like just being very secretive. So it was like, okay, who is this?
I thought he was like a spy for the sorcerers.
I did too.
Like, he's evil. I know it. He's literally a rat. They're trying to tell us. It's right there. But no, it was Charlie.
So I thought it was very, very like shocking, at least towards the end there.
Honestly, like, this book is genuinely like pretty happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
Like, there were definitely, like, moments where I was like, oh, she's cooked. Like, this is not good. And then, you know, obviously, with a comical turn of events, she gets herself out of the predicaments. But, I don't know. I mean, like, I wouldn't say this book had a crazy emotional impact on me. It was just a really, like, lighthearted, fun read, or I guess listen, since we did the audiobook. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess the only thing that was, like, not, like, emotional for me, but that I was like, was just, like, her and Charlie, like, just...
Yes.
Yeah.
Her and Charlie's relationship was so sweet, and it was, like, very wholesome, and just seeing that, like, fall apart, it was like, no. It's like, no,
yeah,
that
like
can't be.
when he's like, my heir is this person's the stranger that steps out. I'm like,
Yeah, I was like, no, Charlie can't die. No, he couldn't have been killed. I was like, they can't do that to the character. Like, I was visibly just like, what's going on?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like their relationship was the only thing that really had too much of an emotional. I mean, there weren't really like heavy emotional scenes in this book. It's cozy fantasy is kind of how I would describe it. It was just very lighthearted, very fun. So yeah, the
very
emotional,
funny. Very comedic.
Yeah. More so, I guess emotional impact in that way of just like it's a very light and happy read. Like I just had a blast listening to it. It was such an enjoyable read. I mean, like, yeah, stuff was going wrong, but like not really much went wrong. I feel like, themes. I guess she kind of reminds me a little bit of Bilbo Baggins with her character journey, because she's content where she's at. She doesn't want to explore the world, but she's
stuck in the Shire,
forced to go on this adventure and just literally like throw herself into danger because she cares for someone else. Just like Bilbo was kind of thrust into that adventure because he cared for the dwarves. He felt bad that they didn't have their home, and so he decided to go and help them, and way in over his head. But then at the end, like, he realizes, like, the Shire is so small. Like, I need, and you know, the world's out there. I need to see the world. And the same thing with Tress. She had that same feeling. So I think it's a very good coming of age story, I guess. Yeah.
It was definitely a lot of character growth of like,
and she learned her strengths too. She learned new skills. She figured out what she was good at. She found things that she was passionate about. You know, just like watching her step into who she really is. It was a very satisfying ending.
Oh, I definitely thought it was really good.
Yeah. Any last thoughts about the book?
No, genuinely, I thought it was a great read. I thought the villains were good. The only thing, like I said, I was expecting more from the sorceress.
Most Brandon Sanderson books, the villains, there's a lot more to them. So.
But it was good. I thought it was well executed. It was a fun read. It really was. Like, it wasn't at any point being. I wasn't like at any point being like, I really don't want to read this today, or like, it's just oh, there's too much going on in my life where it's just not a comfortable read. It's like, no, it was very lighthearted, and it was
very entertaining.
It was good. It was very entertaining.
I enjoyed getting to listen to the audiobook together at night and just have our little routine. Like, it was very fun. So it was a very fun few weeks while we were listening to that. My question for you is, are you gonna hop on the Cosmere train? You don't know what the Cosmere is yet. That's the Brandon Sanderson universe. There's so much more.
I don't know.
You willing to try any of his other stuff? We do have Mistborn on hold.
We may just have to try.
All right. So you've yet to be impressed.
I thought it was good. Yeah, I was impressed.
It is very unlike his typical work, though. Usually his stuff, he works better with epic fantasy.
Gotcha.
That's typically what he does. But this was one of the books he wrote in COVID, when he wrote 3 or 4 books over 2020 alone. On top of the books he was already working on for his publication timeline. These were extras.
Wow.
Thank you for listening to our little review of Tress of the Emerald Sea. If you liked this review, I have a review of A Song to Drown Rivers, which I will link up here. We'll probably be doing a few more joint reviews as well, as we listen to audiobooks together and just enjoy some stories. If there are stories that you think we would enjoy, please comment them below.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah. We're open to trying anything, really. But I'd say fantasy's our jam. So thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.
See you guys later.